That morning everything seemed ordinary. I was sitting in an armchair, rocking our 2-month-old daughter, trying not to wake her after feeding. The house was filled with its usual coziness, the smell of freshly brewed coffee, and the soft hum of the TV in the living room. My husband, still sleepy, was scrolling through the news on his phone with a cup in hand while I quietly sang a lullaby to the baby. Suddenly, my mother-in-law walked into the kitchen. As always, she looked confident and businesslike. "Son," she said almost in a whisper, glancing at me. "Can you give your wife's card for just a minute? I need to pay for some medicine. The ATM near the pharmacy isn't working. I'll be literally a couple of minutes." "Of course, Mom," he replied without even looking. I overheard their conversation, but at that moment I didn't think much of it. The baby had just closed her eyes, and I leaned back in the chair, enjoying the rare moment of peace. 20 minutes passed, then 40. Suddenly, the thought hit me, had she returned the card? I opened my banking app on my phone, almost absent-mindedly, just to check. But when the screen loaded, my breath caught. The balance was almost zero. And it got worse. The list of transactions was growing right before my eyes. A purchase at a jewelry store. Payment at an expensive boutique. A bill from a beauty salon. Huge sums. A wave of anxiety, anger, and betrayal rose inside me. How was this even possible? And more importantly, why? At that moment, I didn't yet know that this would be only the beginning of a major family war. I sat on the edge of the couch, clutching my phone like it could explain what was happening. My account was draining right before my eyes. Jewelry store, 128,000 rubles. Beauty salon, 36,000 rubles. Designer clothing boutique, 92,000 rubles. I blinked, hoping it was some mistake, a glitch in the app. But no, it was all too real. "Look," I breathed out, handing my husband the phone. He took it and froze. First confusion appeared on his face, then fear. "What is this?" "It's your mom." He immediately tried to call her. No answer. He tried again. And again, still nothing. I was already on the verge, not because of the money, although it was our entire savings cushion, but because of the betrayal. The woman who had always pretended to accept me as a daughter had taken my card without asking, and was spending our savings without a shred of conscience. "I don't understand," my husband said quietly. "Maybe she made a mistake. Or thought it was your second card." I laughed through my tears. "A mistake? Seriously? For 300,000 rubles? This was my card, my money, and no one, especially your mom, has the right to use it without permission." He sat there in silence, not knowing what to say. I got up, went to the bedroom, and blocked the card. Then, without hesitation, I transferred the remaining savings to a reserve account. I already knew, this was more than just about transactions. This was a test for our family, for trust, and for the very meaning of the word close. The next morning I woke up to the sound of the front door opening. The house smelled of fresh pastries and perfume, that familiar, overpowering scent my mother-in-law always left behind. I walked into the kitchen and saw her sitting at the table, drinking coffee from my mug and flipping through a jewelry catalog as if nothing had happened. "Good morning," she said with a slight smile, as if nothing was wrong. "Oh, you look tired. Rough night?" I stood in the doorway, unable to believe what I was seeing. My husband, already dressed, was standing by the window, silently looking at his phone, avoiding my gaze. "Where's the card?" I asked directly. She raised an eyebrow. "What card?" "The one you asked for just for a minute, the one almost all our savings were drained from." "Where is it?" "Oh, so this is all about money." She set aside the catalog. "First of all, I got it from my son, which means there was consent. Second, we're family. Is it really so hard to share? I just wanted to treat myself a little. I'm turning 60 soon." You spent 300,000 rubles in one day, I said, barely keeping my voice steady. On yourself. Without a word. With my money. My husband finally walked over and spoke. Mom, you went too far. This isn't yours and this isn't normal. She slammed her hand on the table. You two are ungrateful. I raised you alone, and now you're taking your wife's side. We'll see how far you get with her. She stormed out, slamming the door. The silence in the kitchen was heavy, not just anger remained, but a crack that split the family in two. After she left, my husband paced around the room, as if searching for the right words, but they wouldn't come. He was caught between two fires, mother and wife, and for the first time realized that staying neutral wouldn't work anymore. I didn't know she would do that, he finally said. I thought she'd just take a little and return it. A little? That was money for the renovation. For the baby's account. You gave her my card without asking, and now you call it a little. He lowered his head. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Whether you meant to or not doesn't matter. You chose to be a son instead of a husband. And I'm tired of feeling like a stranger in my own family. Something shifted in his expression, it was realization. He came over, sat next to me, and quietly said, I'll get that money back and she won't take another penny. From today, I'm with you, not her. If we have to, we'll close the joint account and open one only in your name. I'm even ready to move into our own place if you want. It was unexpected. I felt something inside me loosen. It wasn't just a promise, it was a choice. He chose us. Later that day, we went to the bank, closed the old card, and opened a new account. The first transfer came from my husband, everything he could gather. And I realized that real family isn't just about blood, it's about the choice someone makes again and again in your favor. Weeks passed. The tension with my mother-in-law remained, but it no longer dictated the rules of our life. My husband and I set clear boundaries, no personal cards, no unannounced visits, and most importantly, no talk about a mother's right to everything. At first, she tried to regain her influence, calling my husband to complain about his ungrateful wife, or sending pictures of jewelry with captions like, "See how good this looks on me. Wasn't it worth the money?" But he didn't react, he blocked unnecessary conversations, ignored manipulations, and spent more evenings with me and our daughter instead of in endless talks with his mom. We started living differently. I went back to remote work, and he learned how to pick our daughter up from daycare and cook dinner, though sometimes with too many spices. We finally became a team. One evening, he brought it up himself. I used to think growing up just meant being responsible for work and bills. But it turns out, it also means being able to say no, even to the closest people, especially when they cross boundaries. I looked at him with gratitude, not for his words, but for his actions. Because it's actions that separate weakness from maturity. As for my mother-in-law, she now lives with her sister. Not because we kicked her out, but because she realized her old way of living no longer worked. I didn't hold a grudge, I just closed that chapter where my voice wasn't heard and began a new one, where my word matters, where family means partnership, not endless submission to someone else's will. We became stronger, not in spite of it all but because of it.